Hello dear traders, welcome to the Trading Hero weekly review. This week all portfolios made a profit. The first portfolio for 5k brought us 1%. 5k portfolio version 3 didn't bring us any profit because there were no open trades due to the low volatility for the algorithm that trade in this portfolio. So we're gonna wait for better performance in the following weeks. The next portfolio is a 10k portfolio version 1. The profit was 0.6%, 10k portfolio version 2 0.4%, 10k portfolio version 3 almost 1%, 20k portfolio 0.5%, 50k portfolio 0.75%, 100k portfolio 0.5%, and 200k portfolio 0.7%. Let's switch to the MetaTrader platform and check how we traded this week. Let's start from the first currency pair. This is the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar. We are on an hourly time frame where each vertical line separates one trading day, and with a gray rectangle we highlighted the trading area of the current week. So if we'll check the technical analysis of this currency pair, we can see that actually we were trading in the frames of the previous week's prices. So we can see that we are going up, but on the hourly time frame it didn't make any impact on the trades we were making. Actually this week was really fruitful for us because we had a lot of sell positions from the previous week and we closed them on this downward correction at the beginning of this week, and later we started gaining new buying positions, and when we got this upward movement actually we closed all the buying positions we had. The profit of this week was almost $1,100, and on a daily time frame we can see that yes, we have this small local movement, but globally the price is moving downward. So we can say that this kind of movements, when the price is declining for 4 days in a row, and then it grows for 4 days in a row, then it declines 4 days in a row again. This kind of movement is the best market that we can trade on because we don't gain many positions, but we make good profits with small risks. So hopefully this kind of movement will last till the end of this summer, and we're going to make a lot of money on these price fluctuations. Let's move to the next currency pair. This is the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. Finally we closed a bunch of trades we were holding since 24th of June, and we also closed all of the selling trades that we were gaining during the last 3 or 4 weeks, and the profit of this week amounted to $740. But if we check the global picture on this currency pair, we can see that we are in a corridor. We cannot say that we have an uptrend because this upward movement, let's call it like this, because still we have this growing lows and growing highs, they still appeared in frames of the global consolidation. So from technical point of view it's hard to predict where the market will go. We're gaining buying positions. I think that we're going to meet some kind of a support around this previous zone of consolidation, and it will allow us to gain more buying positions and close all the buying trades that we have with the profit on the following correction. The next currency pair is the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Here you can see that the price finally stopped growing and we didn't show any new local high, and actually all the local highs that we saw this week, they were falling down. So we can say that the price changed the local direction because we broke the previous week's lows, and we can see that this kind of movement more looks like a local downtrend than the correction. The profit of this week amounted to $280. On a daily time frame we can see that actually we have a global uptrend, but if you check the way how the price grows, it grows very slowly. We showed one new local high, local high from the previous local highs that we had in June. Then we showed up another local high, but there were no huge price movements. But if you check all the declines that we recently had, they were quite strong. So I think that this kind of market situation signals us that we're gonna see some kind of a correction and we may go down to the previous support level. But let's see how it goes, and we move to the next currency pair. This is euro against the British pound. We're still gaining a selling position that we started gaining in May. We have a lot of open trades, and actually if we look at the daily time frame, we can see that we are very close to the global resistance level that worked out a couple of times, and I think this time also will not be an exception. So we already started falling. This decline was not enough. Our take profits are put somewhere around this level, so we need the price to decline towards them. But even if it continues its growth, we still have the capacity to open new trades and then wait for the correction from these levels to close all our trades with the profit. And this week's profit was $110. The next currency pair is the British pound against the US dollar. And here we can finally see that market really goes in a local downtrend. Speaking about good news, the first is that we have this closure of the previous week, and we can see that only on Monday morning we tried to go upper than these levels, but then we fell down, and all the attempts that we saw during this week, the attempts to break this level, they failed. And I think that this is a good signal that the price movement will develop downwards. Obviously that we faced a strong support level here, and that's why we bounced a couple of times. But what is more important, that we didn't break through these levels, and they are more strong so far because they are newer than the previous ones. On the daily time frame, we can see that we are approaching a very strong consolidation zone. So obviously if we saw some kind of corrections, upward corrections from it 2 times, maybe it will happen the 3rd time. But to be honest, I think that this kind of price movement, it was a culmination of this current trend, and we're gonna see a following correction. And if you'll check the shape of the candles, especially the last candle, it's a beautiful shooting star. At the end of the week, it obviously says that this week was like fully on the bearish side. And also on Wednesday we can also see that we had some news, and there was an attempt to push the price back, but it didn't work. And actually I think this is the good signal that the price will continue its decrease. I would like to remind you that we have several selling trades on with some portfolios that we are holding since April, and our take profit is a little bit lower than this local low. We still need to cover more than 3,000 pips to reach this take profit, but I think within a couple of weeks this plan can be actually fulfilled. Speaking about the profits of this week, we earned $560 because we were gaining buying positions, and on Wednesday's correction we closed all of them. Then we had a couple of trades with fewer orders in the grid, and we made some smaller profits, but so far everything looks good, and we're waiting for this new local downtrend development. On a daily time frame, as I said, we are moving downwards, and on a monthly time frame as well, you can see that the pattern we were speaking about, that we had 5 growing months in a row. We had this pattern in 2021, and we also had this pattern in 2009. It actually worked perfectly. So statistically, this kind of price reaction is absolutely normal, and we can wait for the further price development. Because if you check the price range for the last 10 years, there is a clear corridor where we have local highs and local lows. Obviously, sometimes we were spending in the inner corridor, and I think that we are heading to this, let's call it an inner corridor right now, where the upper border is around 1.32 and the lower border is around 1.22 or 23. So let's see how it goes the next week. Still, the price movement is encouraging, so I hope that soon we're gonna close all the trades we hold for more than 3 months. Let's move to the next currency pair. This is the British pound against the Canadian dollar, and here you can see that we have this kind of a lazy downtrend with very broad waves, and it's clearly visible that the price is going downward. This week's profit amounted to $50. We closed only a couple of buying trades, and actually we made one selling trade that we are still holding in the market. If we take a look at the daily time frame, we'll see that we are bouncing off a very strong level. Actually, we reached the maximum price since 2016, and usually from these levels we can expect huge corrections. If you look at this inner corridor, you will see that it was also respected in 2017, 2018, 19, 2020, 2021. Actually, we fell down from it in 2022, but then we turned back, and then we spent almost 2 years also in this corridor. So I think that this year will not be an exception, and we're gonna move back and we're gonna trade somewhere in this corridor. The next currency pair is the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. Here, as you can see, we're moving in this kind of a correction. We didn't close any trades, so we didn't make any profit. We are gaining the selling grid of trades and waiting for the market to go down. On a daily time frame, you can see that we are also in a corridor that appeared after this downward correction. So far, it's too early to say that we have an uptrend. We have this consolidation, so let's wait for the market to break this previous local high, and then we're gonna see what will happen with the price next. And the last currency pair is the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. Here we can also see a very good trend because we are falling down. We also see these like lazy movements, very broad waves, and it's really good because we also have several trades from April and we need to close them. This kind of deep corrections, they allow us to close many buying trades that we gained during these downward movements, and this week's profit amounted to $400. And on the daily time frame, we can see that we continue declining in the frames of this downward trading channel, and we're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And to be honest, we could have closed all the trades with a profit, but we had to cover around 300 pips more. So hopefully the next downward wave will fulfill this target, and we're gonna close all the trades that we are holding since April. So I can say that this week was pretty fruitful for us. Hopefully the next week all the trends that we noticed this week, they will continue to develop, and we'll close all the trades we need on the next week. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next video review.